Check the mic and make sure it sound right, boys.
Hey, Sean, happy Tuesday, my man.
Yeah, happy Tuesday. And that was a good game yesterday.
It was a horrible game yesterday.
I thought it was good.
It was a horrible game. What do you mean good game? What way was that a good game?
It was a very important game.
Because nothing else was on, maybe?
Well, no, because it was a very important game. It was a close game, and there was a lot of strategy involved because the weather did affect.
Only because the coaches are morons. I can't say that about Belichick. But the other coaches are morons.
Well, I will say, yeah, he got out-coached. And the thing is, why Josh Allen had maybe, 40 yards rushing, but a lot of that came later in the game. Why was he not used more? That was the weapon they had.
He was having no issue throwing the ball.
Well, that's not
running
true.
And running. He could have completed that little 8-yard curl over 1,000 times in a row. You know what it looked like to me? It looked like an old fat, like two rams, right? Button heads, right? Boom, boom, boom. To see if the young ram could beat the young ram was saying to the old ram, Belichick, oh, you're going to run the ball every time. I'm going to run the ball every time too. Watch. And the reality is the better team didn't win. The team that made one play won.
I disagree.
You totally.
And I'll tell you too, Buffalo now has lost to 3 teams that all they're going to do is run the ball. So Buffalo does not have that great of a run defense.
It was one play.
But their run defense is based off of team.
And if Stephon Diggs can buttery hands, the game's not even close.
Well, that was the wind.
That wasn't the wind. The ball hit it. What do you mean the wind?
Yeah, but he thought it was going somewhere else, and it was, the wind's blowing it all around.
See, it hit him right here, right?
Yeah.
All he's got to do is look it in. Let me see. High school football, pee-wee football. I didn't play college football. My coach wanted me to, but I didn't. But let's see. Catching the ball. What do they always tell you? First thing, look the ball into your hands, not into your forearms, right?
But he didn't know where the ball. He didn't know where the ball was going to be because the wind was blowing it around. That was the problem.
What do you mean he didn't know where it was going to be? How can you see it?
It's right there. But it was blowing it all over the place. That's what I'm saying. No. So anyway, getting back to Buffalo, they lost to Tennessee. They lost to Indianapolis. They lost to New England. And they lost all in the same fashion. They just ran it down their throat. Buffalo's run defense, that was supposedly 4th or 5th in the league before yesterday, was overrated because they're playing teams that couldn't run.
It wasn't overrated. They had one run. With an egregious holding call that they missed.
I'm telling you, Buffalo does not have a good run defense.
One play. That was it.
And they lost unless they go in.
And then wait a minute. And if the field goal kicker makes the field goal, then they kick the field. I mean, the team that maximized everything last night was New England. The team that left a lot on the table was Buffalo.
Yeah, but that's because
the better team.
New England played with the flow of the game. If they would have had to change different, they could have done different.
Different because the few times that he tried to pass the ball, he was under duress like that.
Well, they only threw it 3 times.
Yeah, and all 3 times he threw it, he was under duress immediately.
If they don't go into New England and beat New England, division's over and New England wins the division again.
I don't know. I just feel like that the coach, what's his name, McDonough or something like that?
Sean McDermott
in Buffalo. Just he might be fiery. He might be yelling at the refs. But the New England did get a couple benefits of a call there too last night. I just feel like I don't know why he didn't trust his passing game. They ran that curl. That curl was open every single time. Josh Allen has the arm to throw the ball straight for 10 yards. He was there every single time. Run it, pop it, and go. That would open up the running game a little bit. That's the one issue that they have is they're really not good at running, and yet what did he try to do? Run. Instead of trying to get people involved in the game.
And their best running back is their quarterback, and they didn't use him as much as they should have.
No, they say Saquon Barkley is going to be in Buffalo next year. I don't know if that's going to be any better or not.
Yeah, I don't know.
If I were them, I would really try to make a play for a guy like Tony Pollard, a guy who's got big playability in him, right? That can still run maybe a little bit between the tackles because that's a team that needs to. And it also doesn't make sense to me too about last night. Running up the middle, New England couldn't run up the middle. All they did, the one run that any successful run that they had, they stretched and they cut it back, right? Why not spread your defense out a little bit so that you can come from the outside in instead of trying to get guys trying to pin them down, and it just seemed to me they were too bunched up in the box. Anyway, what do I know? I'm here in my basement. McDermott's making a couple $1 million a year to coach. I just feel like the best player on the field is Josh Allen. The second best player on the field is probably Stephon Diggs, and those two guys were hardly involved in the passing game at all.
Yeah.
Terrible, terrible coach, in my humble opinion. All right, Sean. Well, that kind of goes along with terrible picks, maybe, huh?
Yeah.
Another interesting beat from me last night. So I thought, I've been on the bad end of beats pretty regularly over the last couple of weeks. And then I thought, you know what, maybe finally last night I'm going to get one back with Golden State Orlando game, because that game was trending to go way, way over for the whole game. And I'm like, this game is over. But then with a minute left in the game, they're actually trending to go under by about 3-4 points. I'm like, this is I'm finally going to get one the other way. What happens? They score 9 points in the last 45 seconds between the two teams. I'm like, you got to be bleeping kidding me. Game goes over by 3 or 4 or something like that.
Yeah. The only thing I could say is you did get Indianapolis on Sunday with the team total. They did score a touchdown when I was a little nervous for you there, under 2 minutes. That's about the closest you got to a break.
But, the reality is they should have scored the drive before that. But again, idiot coach, I think, Frank Reich. Okay, so you have Jonathan Taylor, who's been running for like 6-7 yards per carry. It's first and goal at the 3-yard line, and what do? You let Carson Wentz pass it 3 times. Right? I have Carson Wentz in fantasy, and I'm like, okay, fine. Hope he scores a touchdown here. But if I'm the coach, I'm going, okay, first and goal at the 3. Jonathan Taylor's getting 3 rushing attempts. He's going to put one in.
Yeah.
Right? And then it's at 28 anyway.
Especially when you're up as much as you are. Why are you throwing the ball when you don't need to?
Well, you're trying to give Carson Wentz some confidence, maybe going into the the bye week, and then. But come on, man, give Jonathan Taylor the ball, let him run it in, let everybody who's on the over get in there, and if they had scored a touchdown there, that late touchdown wouldn't have mattered anyway. And they left at least another 7 points on the field too.
Yeah, and I actually had it the other way. I had 3 team totals over, and the Colts were the first one, and they went over on that. And this was just my personal account. Then I had the Bengals and I had the Vikings, and both at the same time started to score for their next touchdown. Well, of course, the Vikings settled for a field goal. Or no, they scored the touchdown. They went for 2, missed it, and Cincinnati turned the ball over. So I missed it out anyway.
Yeah.
But
well, what are you going to do? Well, let's see what we can do about tonight, Sean. Let's talk about some interesting line movements. I think there's not really a whole lot. There's 3 NBA games tonight?
3 NBA games.
Pretty quick in terms of what we'll bring to the table today. But interesting, the New York Knicks opened up at a 2.5-point favorite. Now they're a 1-point underdog. So that's a pretty good line from favorite to underdog by a point. And that line looks like it's continuing to go the other way. Another interesting line movement is the Nets-Mavericks game. The line opened up at 215.5 for the over and has gone up to 221.5, depending upon which book you're looking at. What's interesting about that, though, is 40% of the tickets are on the 40% of the tickets are on the over. 60% of the tickets are on the under. Yet 60%, 60 cents, it's like 83 cents is on the I got this all. I'm screwing this all up. So in that game, So in the total, 40%, it's 40% of the tickets are on the over, and 60% of the tickets are on the under, and 83% of the money is on the under. So most of the tickets and most of the money are on the under, but yet the line is going up, 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 up. What does that tell you?
Tells you to play the we'll play the over, I guess. Right?
It tells me that Vegas thinks the line's going over, Sean, that they keep moving it up to attract under money, right?
Well, we'll get to the injury news on why those lines are moving too.
Yeah, I'm just saying, why would Vegas do that, right? If the money is coming in on the under, shouldn't the number be coming down?
Yeah, I wonder if a lot of that under money was earlier in the day.
Well, what injuries do you have to talk about?
So Luka Doncic was questionable. He's missed the last couple of games. He will play. He is now probable, and Tim Hardaway Jr. So I would imagine that's why we went from the 4 to the 1 and 1.5, and we went from over under 215 to 221.
That's just that's the Knicks game. The Knicks game is a little bit different. The line movement was on the Knicks. The total movement was on the Nets. I know that's the Nets and the Mavs. So the Knicks are playing somebody else.
The Spurs.
The Spurs, yes. So the Knicks went from a favorite against the Spurs to a underdog. Any news in that game that would move that line?
No, not really. It's just the Spurs have been playing. They've been really hot. I mean, I know they lost yesterday, but even that, they fought all the way through with Phoenix. So I'm just thinking the Spurs are playing better. That's why a lot of the public money's coming in on the Spurs.
All right. Speaking of the NBA, Sean, that's really all there is tonight is a couple of NBA games, a whole bunch of college basketball games. So in the 3 basketball games, unfortunately, our normal source for lines is not working. So we're just going to go minus 110 on everything, Sean, or whatever's available in the your DraftKings or FanDuel accounts. So first game on the docket is the Nets and the Mavericks, Sean. Is that opened up at minus 2.5 for the Nets. It's down to minus 1.5. So Doncic is only worth 1 point, Sean.
Well, earlier it was actually at 4.5 favored for the Nets.
But from the open to now, it's only 1 point. So Luka is worth 1 point. What do you say about that game?
Well, I'm going to take the Nets here. Nets are 8-2 on the road. I think they're the better team anyway. Playing better. Doncic's been out the last couple games. We'll see how the ankle holds up. Nets are 8-2 on the road. Dallas is only 6-5 at home. So I will take the Nets and give up 1.5.
Yeah, I'm going to take the Nets as well. That's the only NBA play I have tonight. I have them winning this game. And when I looked at the matchups in this game, it's a fun. I mean, the Nets have the better defense, which is kind of weird to say. And they have a better offense, and it looks like the Mavs at times don't play any defense. And the Dallas team is injured, so guys are playing a little bit banged up. I feel like Brooklyn's a little bit more healthy. So all those things considered, I think 1.5 points. So I'm not a big fan of road dogs. That's probably not the best road favorites. Probably not the best way to make money. But I'm with you, Sean. I think the Brooklyn Nets win this game pretty easily.
Yeah, now I will say
I should never use that word, huh? Why do I do that?
Easily. What it's worth, they've lost their last 3 in Dallas, but, that's other years. So,
well, I mean, there's a trend there. The Knicks, as I mentioned, that line's moved a lot, Sean, against the Spurs. I don't have a play here, but do you?
Yeah, I'm going to go with the public here and take the Spurs. They're just playing a lot better. They're at home against the Knicks. Knicks sometimes struggle to score. Spurs have been on fire offensively. The only concern is the back-to-back games, but they're a young team, so I think they'll be all right there.
You know what they say about the masses, Sean?
Yeah, they're asses.
Mm-hmm. So you're going to battle along with the asses today.
Yeah, I am.
All right. Well,
I'll give up the point at minus 110.
So you're going to take minus 110 and give up the point and take the Spurs. As I say, can't do anything there. How about as far as the total is concerned?
It's 211. I'd almost trend upwards here because, again, the Spurs offense has been pretty good and their defense ain't exactly the greatest. But I'm not going to make an official play because of that Knicks offense. That Knicks offense scares me sometimes.
Yeah, I have the Brooklyn game going under. I also have the New York game going under, but they're both really close within a couple of points. Not really something I can do. And then later on tonight out in Tinseltown, you have the Los Angeles Lakers playing against the Boston Celtics. Looks like the Lakers are going to field a full team. I didn't really see any injuries there, but they're not really playing well with the full team anyway. So what do you think about that spot?
So Jaylen Brown's out for Boston. That's why that line moved. But even saying that, I'm still going to take Boston. I'm going to take the value here. Lakers struggle to beat teams like the Pistons. And Boston's been playing without Jaylen Brown on some of these games. So I think Boston's fine. They get some rotation players back, no big ones like Al Horford and stuff like that. But I'll take Boston to win this game.
You're going to take them outright to win?
Yes.
The money line?
Plus 155.
Plus 155 on the money line for Sean. All right. I think it's a pretty aggressive play for me. I'm personally, I'm not going to make that play. I also have the Boston winning as well. But at some point in time, the Lakers are going to have like a throwback game to go along with the throwback jerseys and actually play like they're a championship quality team, minus the bubble. They're going to minus the asterisk W, right? They're going to have to actually win one where the league doesn't set the entire circus up strictly for LeBron to get another ring, right?
Yeah, I mean, it would be frustrating. Come playoff time, this team will probably look completely different and be really good.
Well, I mean, the whole bubble thing was set up. I mean, they front loaded all the games for the Lakers. They gave the Lakers a lot of rest at the end of the bubble so that LeBron and them would be ready for whatever those playoffs were. So they did everything they could to give LeBron a championship there. I don't count that one. All right, next up, Sean, we got a little bit of NCAA basketball today. That's about it. Any college hoops plays for you?
Yeah, I got 2. I'm going to go Virginia giving up 5.5 to James Madison. And Virginia is not one of my favorite teams the way they do,
They're slow as hell.
Yeah, they are. But James Madison hasn't played anybody really. They already have 2 losses. They're like 8-2. I just think Virginia will frustrate them with their defense, and they're going to score enough against James Madison, who is not going to have all that great of a defense. So I'll give up the 5.5 for the Virginia here. I know the trend seems to look like maybe some people think James Madison's going to upset them. I don't see it. And you're only giving up 5.5.
You don't see that happening at all?
No.
And for me, I'm going to go with – oh, you say you have 2 games. What's the other game?
Yeah, I have another one. I have Oakland giving up 2 against Bowling Green. Again, Oakland's been hot this year. Only have 2 losses. Bowling Green's not all that great. Not worried about them playing on the road here. It's only Bowling Green. So giving up 2, I'll take Oakland.
You'll take Oakland, huh?
Yeah.
I'm going to take Massachusetts straight up to win the game, Sean. They're getting 2 on the road. So, I mean, that's a 1-bucket game. That's essentially a game that's a toss-up anyway, right? So, if anything, what they're saying is Massachusetts is the better team because they're getting 2 points on the road where it should be. That means at a neutral court, they're probably 1-2-point favorite themselves. And then I'm going to take North Dakota State +6 at Montana State. That's for -110, Sean. That's those are the only picks I have in college hoops tonight. That's a pretty light schedule for us.
Yeah, because there was a ton of games again, but not really too many more.
I'm kind of noticing though is just so many of those. So many home teams are winning, and most of the time when I'm running through my numbers, I'm getting away teams because Vegas is clearly aware of the fact that the home teams are winning, right? Just like we saw early on in the year that the unders in the NBA. So Vegas is aware of that. So what are they doing? They're making you pay for the home teams, right? And what that does is it makes lines that are attractive for the away teams. But you have to really be discerning, I feel like, in the away teams that you pick. So I'm trying to find matchups where one team can exploit another team's weakness. So Massachusetts, for example, is a really good 3-point shooting team. Whereas Northeastern is not very good at defending the 3. So if they're hitting their 3s, Massachusetts, they can make easy work of this game. If they're missing their 3s like NBA players, then it could be a very difficult game.
Yeah, it's funny. Yesterday, that pick I saved you with, you were going to do the first half, right?
And it was 20.
Yeah, you just would have missed. And in the full game, they covered by a point.
Yeah, so I when I saw that, I was like, oh, man. But, yeah, you finally saved me one, Sean, that it cost me. So
I owed you a couple.
You're still like at a deficit.
Yeah, I owed you a couple. I'll find you a couple more.
I looked for that, too. I went and looked right away. I'm like, were they 19 at halftime? Because when I looked on the computer, they were only down like 15, like early into the second quarter. And then I saw that they were.
It's funny now. Alcorn State, they've only had they only have 1 victory, but they only have 1 loss against the spread.
Yeah, because they're getting 40 freaking.
Right? Well, and of course, the 1 loss against the spread is the time
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
They knew. It's not like the universe doesn't know what we're doing, Sean.
Yeah, apparently.
All right, Sean. So if folks want to follow along with us, what should they do?
Facebook, Twitter, Moneyline Madmen, and then go to the website, moneylinemadmen.com. Takes less than a minute to register. And post what you want over there and get all our thoughts and picks over there as well.
Yes, and the best thing you can also do is tell your friends about us. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, however it is you communicate, because friends don't let friends make their bets without Rich and Sean telling you who to fade.
Yeah.
All right, Sean. We'll be back in 23-3 tomorrow, which is probably NBA and college basketball again, right? Really nothing else to add in there. So hopefully it's a full slate. We have a lot of picks, and we'll be back Thursday for the Minnesota Vikings and the Pittsburgh Steelers for Thursday Night Football. Yes, and a lot of fantasy stuff is at stake. So good luck with your waiver claims. May you get the player you want, and may all of your picks, Sean, put some money in your pocket. We'll see you in 23-3.